vloggers, so we are at a park called Newman Mills Park up in North Stamford, and this area actually used to be oh god, I can't think of the word now. I'm useless, brain dead. So just down the street there's a park called Fort Stamford, and during the what war is it, Mum?
Is it the Civil War, the Independence?
War of Independence.
Not very good at the
Sorry guys, we're not that great at American history, but anyway, it was the war of 1776, the Independence War. Oh my goodness, you guys are going to kill me because I'm not very good at my American history. But anyway, down the street they built Fort Stamford, and that was to protect the residents of Stamford. So this area that we're in right now was, you know, pretty heavily trafficked during that time. Obviously we're right between Boston and New York as well, so a lot of soldiers would have passed through this area. So we just came up here. It's a beautiful, beautiful November afternoon. A little chilly this morning, but we got our first frozen, frosty morning. Oh my god, look at that beautiful, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a beautiful hawk flying above us up there. Hopefully I got that on camera. Anyway, so we just thought we'd come and see if we could do some mudlarking down by the river here, see if we can find anything cool in the river. So stay tuned, we'll see you in a bit. Things about Connecticut and where we live right now. I always say Connecticut like I always drop all my T's, I'm sorry. Connecticut. I don't know if you can see that huge boulder just sitting there. So one of the really cool things about Connecticut is this was all formed, especially where we are, it was all formed by glaciers. And these huge boulders came down quite often from, I don't know, Canada and all that, but they were just brought down by the glaciers. So a lot of our rivers and valleys in this area were formed millennia ago by these massive glaciers. So we have these huge boulders, and they're so cool because they're just massive. Hey mum, you should go stand next to it. I'm going to make my mum stand next to it for, you know, context of size. But just look at the size of this thing. Sorry mum, making it be a photo prop. She's very accommodating. But look at the size of that thing. So that thing travelled down. Hi Mom! Travelled down here on a glacier and has just been sitting there for, I don't know, a million years or something like that. It's crazy. So cool. As well, it's a bit mushy here, Mum, be careful. It's so beautiful hiking through the woods, especially in the fall. We're really blessed in New England. We get these gorgeous fall colours, and the leaves are just stunning. Just coming to the end of the fall colours right now. But it's just amazing. And here is, oh look Mum, the waterfall here. We're just trying to think of things we can do because we're coming to the end of metal detecting season, really, because it's pretty soon the ground is going to be too hard to dig, and mudlarking it's going to be too cold, and the rivers will be frozen. So we're just trying to think of things that might be interesting and larking about, you know, in the winter months. So maybe we'll just take you guys on trips around the area and show you some really cool stuff. So here is the Newman Mills. So Newman Mills is an old abandoned mill. I'll do some research on it for the rest of the video. But yeah, this is the mill sluice. So this is where they would have controlled the mill and the water for when they needed water. When they didn't need water, they would have controlled it here and turned it on and off. And funnily enough, where I grew up in England was actually right around the house I grew up in England was a mill cottage as well. And the mill workers, we lived in a cotton mill. Lancashire is very famous for its cotton mills. So I grew up in a mill workers cottage in the UK. So I'm very familiar with this whole setup here. Anyway, let's go and see if we can find anything. Blow it out. I should have brought my metal detector over and we could have had a dig around in there. Mind you, it's probably just, don't look at that rude wood over there. It would probably just be cogs and things from the metal, from the wheel. But isn't that cool? My mum's going to be having a heart attack right now. Actually, I won't do it because she will be freaking out. try and get down here and see if I can find anything in the river. Yeah, but that's not a mudlarking find I'll be taking home. There's a leftover Halloween pumpkin right there. I think it can stay there, the fish can eat it. An old find, but a cute find nonetheless. A little tiny star. Little red star. There was some kids' party celebration they had in the park during the summer. A lot of Native Americans lived in this area, so you tend to be able to find a lot of arrowheads and things like that on the riverbanks in this area if you've got a good eyesight for picking up things like that. It's very cool to find those Native American artifacts as well. Just gotta have a good eye for those things because they really blend in. Out that the stars that I just found one of, there's tons of them here. There's definitely someone's birthday party. Someone's birthday celebration stars or some kind of celebration was had here. We dumped all the stars. It's kind of upsetting, to be honest. There's so much trash in this river. Yeah, look, loads of them. It's a bit unfortunate. Digging them all out. But like right here is where they would divert the water using mechanics right here. They would divert some of the water down here, and this is a mill race, and the walls to the mill race go all the way down there. It's very cool that it's still here. I'm gonna have to do some Googling when I get home, but that's really cool. I love seeing stuff like this. It's fascinating. The sound of crunching leaves this time of year when they're still dry and fresh off the trees. It's kind of like ASMR. You just feel like you're very relaxed and soothed by the sounds of it. Just looking for another spot where there might be some exposed bank that we could poke around on. I can't remember where I learned it from, but back in the day when the world was Pangea, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. See all of these rocks that were covered in as part of the Green Mountain Range, part of the Poconos. But apparently when the world was one giant continent, the mountain ranges that we live close by here were all connected to the same mountain ranges that run through northern England and Scotland. So may only be separated from the UK by a flight, by a 7-hour flight, but we're also separated by several million years. But basically walking on the same rocks as our ancestors used to walk on back in the day. Can't imagine. But well, can't imagine I'll find anything from those days in the woods. So far I've only found 20th century beer cans, bottle tops, and a broken fishing rod. So none of which is worth showing you, but these rocks are really cool. So peaceful. Look how smooth that water is.
Yeah, it's lovely.
It's crazy how noisy it was down there, and now there's just like no noise whatsoever.
Island.
It's beautiful.
Nice place to live.
Yeah.
Over there.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. We're assuming this is a path, but I don't know. Maybe not. Looks like a path. I don't know, what do you think? Is this a path or are we just lost? Is this a path or are we just lost? Maybe that way?
I don't know.
Let's go.
I don't think that's very away.
I mean, we're literally by people's houses. That's true. Is there a bear in the woods? It's possible. Jesus, Mum, I thought you fell over. Scared me to death. I'm gonna have to cut that out. To a different river, and I actually forgot the name of this river. I forget the name of everything. I'll fill you in after. And found a couple of beer bottles that were pretty modern pop-top bottles, but did find this fully intact Clorox bottle, so I'm going to take this one home because I think this is pretty cool. It's probably from like the 50s or 60s, but I find these all the time broken, and bits of them broken on Dead Horse Bay, so this is the first one I've ever found that's fully intact, so I'll be bringing this one back with us. Needs a damn good cleaning though, it's filthy, but yeah, that's cool. I'll take that. We're a bit exhausted. We've been traipsing through woods, climbing over brambles, doing all that stuff. So yeah, it was a good day actually. My only biggest find was obviously that Clorox bottle, which I'm going to go home and scrub and see how it looks now. Try and get a date on that. I'm pretty sure it's probably like 1950s probably. It looks like the ones that we find broken at Dead Horse Bay, and this is a unchipped, unbroken one, so that's cool. But we came up with some ideas for things to do during the winter months, because obviously Connecticut gets real cold, so we'll not be able to dig in the ground at all, and then it'll be snowy. So we came up with some ideas for things to do over the winter months, just to keep some videos going, and that, you know, just keep me busy, keep larking. Got to keep these things, keep us occupied over the next few months till spring and proper mudlarking and metal detecting season starts up again. So hope you enjoyed this video, guys, and like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye guys. Hey guys, so as promised, I did do a little research on this Newman Mills today, and I did actually find a picture of it. So we're looking at the mill from the opposite bank from where I was stood, so you can kind of see the just make out the actual mill. It's a wooden building just in the trees. I was probably stood right where the mill building is right now, or was. It's no longer there, unfortunately. But it was apparently built by Nathaniel Newman, who was born, he was a Stamford resident, born in 1688. He married a Sarah Husted in 1723, and he had his first son, Nathaniel, also Nathaniel Newman, in 1724. He owned this property and built that grist mill, or a corn mill, in 1724. And that mill actually stood on the riverbank of this river, the Mianus River, until 1969, when it was destroyed by arson, which is pretty devastating actually, because what a historic building that we lost in Stamford. This is quite upsetting to think about. He also had another son, Samuel Newman, a daughter called Sarah Newman, and another son called Abraham Newman. And it does note that on December 1st, 1729, Nathaniel Newman, the elder, along with his brothers John Newman, Jonathan Newman, and Thomas Newman, his brother-in-law Daniel Briggs, and Robert Harris, signed an agreement to build a sawmill on the Mianus River about 8 rods south of Nathaniel Newman's dwelling house. Newman Mills, a group of water-powered mills, which included a grist mill, which is the one we're looking at in this image, and operated until 1918, and a fulling mill was a centre of business activity in the riverbank area of Stamford for 2 centuries. And then he had his last son after that in 1731, who was named Isaac Newman. So yeah, quite a history there. It's very cool. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. I did. Hey guys, I'm just going to cut in for a second again. This is a picture of the weir, or the waterfall, for the mill near where I live in England. So this is in Horton Bottoms in Lancashire, and this was what they used to power the cotton mill for the weavers' cottages that I grew up in. They would live in the cottages and they would work at the cotton mill at the end of the street. And you'll see a picture coming up of that in a second. But basically they would control the flow of the river, and when they needed power for the mill, they would use these big cogs and things to turn the water on and off, and it would drive this big wheel and drive the I forget what they're called, as usual. I forget everything all the time. It would drive all the machinery inside the mill, and they could, weave the looms and stuff. Lancashire's got a long history of being a cotton town, basically because it's a very damp and rainy place, and we didn't have a lot of fires. So we were a very popular place for people to bring their cotton back in the 1800s. And we did a lot of weaving and textile work back then. And here is just a pencil drawing of the mill. The smaller building on the right, in between the very tall building, the small building was where the mill wheel used to be, where the water would flow down to this wheel. And then the two big buildings were all the machinery and where the weavers were. My house is actually the middle house of these three tall steps that are going up to the houses on the right. My house is actually the middle one of these three buildings. Back in the day, you would have two or three families living in one house, and at the top of the house there would be looms in the houses so that the people could still work while they were at home. So not only did they work in the mill during the day, they would have to work when they were at home as well. Crazy, but those were the days. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that little bit of trip down my memory lane and a little bit of history. I'll catch up to you soon.